Everybody, welcome to Marketing Monday with the Watertown Oswego SBDC. We go live every Monday to talk about marketing. I know, it's impressive. Usually at noon Eastern Standard Time, so you can tune in every week and learn a little something. My name is Nicole. I'm the co-host of this event with Erica and Liz from the SBDC. Hi, guys. Thanks for...
Hey, Nicole. Speaking of impressive, you're the one that, gets all this prepared and shows up for us every week, and we just really appreciate that. So
it's fun. It's fun for me to talk to smart people about marketing stuff who have a lot of experience. And you guys at the SBDC help so many businesses, not only with marketing but with all aspects. So if you're watching this and you can set up a completely free appointment with the SBDC, you can just email them. You can go to their website too and book there, but you can also just email them and they'll get back to you. They'll hook you up with a counselor, and it's great. I know when I first was opening my business in this area, the SBDC was really helpful with navigating everything. I was new to New York State, and I was new to the area, and they really showed me around. So you guys are a great resource, and we're lucky to have you.
Well, thanks for that, Nicole. And, one of the benefits of the SBDC is we have feet on the ground. So, you started your business in Canton, New York. It's not exactly, a major megalopolis, but we have people here in the North Country. We have people all over the state. And if we don't have the expertise in our center, we'll find it somewhere in the state. Trust me. So, yeah, give us a call. We're here to help any businesses under 500 people, which in our area that's pretty much everybody. So,
all right. So if you're watching this and you have over 500 employees, I feel like you could probably get help from different sources than the SBDC.
But congratulations, good job.
Yeah, great job. But SBDC is for the littler businesses like mine. But so today's topic is all about earned media. So we're doing a series here in February, basically all about PR. So last week we talked about press releases, and earned media press releases can definitely help you get earned media. But I don't know about you guys, but I was kind of diving into this topic and trying to figure out how we could talk about it. And I found different people talking about it, and they basically had some version of this graphic, which I'm going to put on the screen now. So basically there are three kinds of, media that you can have. One is owned media. So this is anything that your business has direct control over. It's your website, it's your blog, it's your newsletter, it's your social media. It's all of the assets that you have that you own. Hence the name owned media, right? And then paid media is anything that you pay for, like ads or sponsored content. Obviously, when you're paying for something because, your bank account balance changes there. So usually it's pretty obvious when you're dealing with a paid media situation. Earned media is not either of those things. It's, a lot of different things. It could be, an article in a newspaper. It can be, a post on a blog. It could be someone mentioning you on social media. We'll go over some examples in a little bit, but yeah, is there any better definition of earned media that you guys kind of have run into in your years of doing this stuff? That because like I said, my best definition was these are the things that it isn't.
Yeah, no, and I think that's really helpful. That graphic is really helpful, and what comes to mind for me is not so much what is included in earned media too. Although it's a great topic for today, and I think a lot of people are like, what is that, right? So, but the other thing that comes to mind for me when I see them all together is just the idea. I think a lot of people don't realize that just, public relations is part of your marketing plan. We always think of marketing, requires money kind of thing, right? And I think that's less and less so now with digital marketing. But, there's always that idea that your marketing plan and your budget, has to be there, but public relations and earned media is absolutely should be part of that integrated marketing plan. And we were actually just talking about that right before we went on, but I think that's an important point.
Yeah, because I know people will see this, and this is clearly a Venn diagram. They're like, well, what happens when it all overlaps besides that kind of lovely orange color? And what happens is that you have an integrated plan, because you're not relying just on one thing, or just it's good that you have a mix. You wouldn't tell. I mean, I'm not not a financial investor, but I wouldn't tell everybody to invest all their money in one piece of stock, right? Like you want to diversify, and you want to diversify your marketing too. So earned media is a section of that we're going to talk about today. So in sort of researching for this broadcast, I mean, I know what I've done to get earned media, but I was like, just talking about it myself as an example is kind of dumb. But so I found this example online. I thought it was really good. So this woman she's I think a registered dietitian, I think somewhere in California. And she was looking to get new clients, and her specialty was getting picky kids to eat things. And she wanted, her demographic she wanted to get in front of was mothers in, I think she was, let's just say she was in San Diego, mothers in the San Diego area. And so what her and her PR person did was they started looking into, okay, what magazines do they read? What TV, what do they watch on TV, whatever. And what they just determined was that the local morning show would be a good thing for her to get on. And so what she did was she pitched a segment. This was in September. So she pitched a back to school, like how to make a lunch that your kid is actually going to eat to this. And so it gave a really timely angle to what she was doing. Now, she didn't say, hey, I should go on and talk about my registered dietitian business. She said, hey, I could come on and I could talk about, here are some things you could pack in your kids' lunch that they'll definitely eat that are healthy for them. Yeah. And that was compelling. And it gave them a reason to say yes then, right? And so she went on and she got in front of a bunch of new people, which I think is one of the benefits of earned media. Your owned media, right? Your newsletter, your social media or something. These are people who know about you, who have elected to follow you. Earned media is your way of getting in front of a whole new audience, which is really valuable. And she was able to get a lot of clients. And because she was, in this case, it was a TV segment, she was really like charismatic and good in front of the camera. So she kind of got a regular spot on that program to like come on and talk about these things. So if you do a good job, if you're a good source, this could potentially be an ongoing opportunity for you. So
yeah, that's a great example.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about some best practices from that. And the one thing I actually meant to put on the slide but didn't was, figuring out where what your customers are consuming. What blogs are they reading? What podcasts are they listening to? Whatever, right? Think about because we're all consuming, I think, gosh, I felt like I read the stat somewhere where like 4 hours of our day is spent on consuming things online. So
that's conservative. Conservative estimate.
Right. And so that means that your people you want to get in front of are looking at something. And that could be, like I said, I'm used to, because I'm from a traditional media background a little bit, I'm used to thinking of that as like a magazine or a newspaper or a TV station. But earned media can really be just, anything that you don't belong to, right? So thinking about where people are, that's what I meant to put on this slide, but didn't. But everything else I did need to put here. So the other thing is that, like, I don't know about you guys, creating relationships over time. I think it's tempting online to just treat things very transactionally, right? To just like contact people when you want something and be completely self-serving about it. But like, a relationship online is like a relationship in real life. And so one of the tips that they had was to kind of look around the landscape, so if you're trying to build a relationship with, say, a blogger, read their blogs. Like, what have they written about? What kinds of things seem to be, passionate for them? And that will give you an idea. When you approach them, you have some actual information about them. Heck, you can even leave some like comments on their blog posts to just kind of, they can start seeing your name. And then when you contact them, it'll feel less completely out of the blue. You can follow them on social media. And I'm not saying for comments, you say, great post. I'm saying you like add to the conversation, because, as much as I love a algorithm, the more comments you get, right, the better the algorithm does for you. As much as I enjoy this was a lovely post, I really like it when people actually leave a comment that adds to the discussion. So, so creating relationships with those people over time, so that when you do approach them, you're not some unknown person. And then, pitching a story where you are not the center of the story, but a resource in the story. So like in the dietitian example, right? She wasn't like, oh, let me come talk about my business. Like, and, because those stories are really boring. Like, we've all been stuck next to that person at the party, right? You're like, I have to go get some more cheese now. So you don't want to be that person, right? So if you're going to pitch, you want to kind of have information of value. And of course, your business is going to be mentioned, right? So just be ready to pitch a story and you yourself as a resource in either giving information about or telling that story. And then, give it a timely angle so that there's a reason for them to act now. So in the story with the dietitian, she was pitching back to school packing lunches. And it was September. So like they couldn't be like, oh, let's run this in October, because the back to school season would be over. So like they had a compelling reason to run it right away. So I'm not saying create false urgency. But I am saying give them a reason to act on it now.
Find the hook that's going to make them say, ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, and then my final thing, which everyone mentioned, it was so funny. Like I watched a few earned media presentations and I don't know if they all like read the same. I don't know if this was in a book or something, or if they just all read the same blog post, but the fortune is in the follow-up is what they consistently said, which is the fact that, and I am really terrible about this, honestly, because I don't want to bug people. But when people bug me and I actually want to help them, I appreciate being reminded. So follow up, and follow up a few times because like they get, especially if you're emailing a really busy, I don't know, publication or something. I mean, geez, I'm not even a busy publication and I probably get 200 emails a day. So like if you're following up, just signal, oh, right, I have to, I meant to get back to this person. So don't be afraid to follow up. It's really key.
And everybody, not everybody. Some people are a little averse to the word sales, right? But this is, I mean, the follow up, piece of it is really sale. It's all about sales. And if you're trying to get out there, then, that follow up is really important in the situation too, for sure. And it doesn't have to be that you're calling them every day, right? It's like, and maybe you try to follow up in different ways. Maybe it's a phone call and then an email, but maybe it's every couple of weeks until you hear back. But I think you're right, Nicole, that it's good for people to be a little less fearful of it or thinking that they're bothering people, because I agree. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, so glad that you caught up with me again, kind of thing, and it's hardly ever that people don't want to talk to you, so just busyness. Yeah.
Flattery gets you everywhere, right?
Well, not even
mention them on your website. I read a great blog post by Nicole Willett, and she had a great point about marketing. Boom, here it is. Or reference back or tag them on posts where this is what Nicole taught me. It's circle.
Yeah, and I definitely recognize if someone's been in my comments section a little bit, I definitely recognize them. And speaking of people who are in the comments section, it is President's Day. I completely forgot about it. Happy President's Day, guys.
Happy President's Day.
As a self-employed person, I always forget about holidays, although that does explain why my email is kind of light today. So
I had a meeting at 9:00 this morning and there were like half the people there were like, where is everybody?
Oh, yeah.
It's a holiday.
I found out it was a holiday apparently.
And
right
I'm
now.
home. So and Renee's working. Renee is the NYS.
Oh, got it.
She's the social media maven for us.
Oh, got it. Okay. So this is Renee. And Renee, take the rest of the day off. I mean, you can feel free to watch this, but you work hard enough. So I thought, and I think what happens is people feel a little overwhelmed about where to go for, I guess, like where to start with earned media. I really like this article that Erica shared, and I'm trying to think if I should go over it now or go over this. Yeah, let's actually do this now. I was going to wait till after my next little slide, but so I'm going to put on the screen here too what the link is in case you want to. This is from Indeed.com, and Erica did a great job finding this little nugget here. So earned media is basically anywhere that you have kind of a no cost sort of mention of your company. But I really like this example section here in particular because I hadn't really coming from a more traditional media background, I always think of earned media as like I said, more official publications. But the reality is that, all of these different things can be earned media. And I don't know, do you guys have like interesting like examples of things that you either got with the SBDC or maybe with a business that that you know of, that you've seen this like work really well and actually generate business for them?
I have sort of a non-digital marketing example that I can
Yeah, no,
that I
I
can
think that's
provide.
marketing is
Yeah,
marketing.
just as another.
This isn't Digital Marketing Monday. This is Marketing Monday. I just know more about the digital stuff.
Right, right. So I'm also a franchise consultant. So I help match individuals who are interested in business ownership in general, who might want to look into like becoming a franchisee of a franchise business. So for pre-COVID, and I'm actually going to start back up again probably second half of the year, I was part of a radio show. Now, I will say that as part of an integrated marketing plan, I also did some commercial spots with this, but the radio show itself was not ours. It wasn't our radio show, our podcast, right, through the company I work with. It was a small business show that happened every Saturday morning in the Syracuse area, and still does. So, the whole target market was right on, right there as far as small businesses and what small business, was like in Syracuse, and just generally information about that and sharing that way. And so, it's just an example of being able to not just talk about franchising or, those kinds of things, but to be able to be a resource for, a small business resource in the area, because people would call in with questions and, they didn't necessarily, it wasn't necessarily about, becoming a franchisee. It was all over the board as far as the questions that we got and the questions that I could, help out with and that kind of thing. So that was really huge as far as credibility is concerned, that the business requires a lot of trust and credibility in the first place. And I can tell you pre-COVID, I had all kinds of, phone calls and that kind of thing from people. It slowed down afterwards for obvious reasons, but it was, just one of those PR, earned media things that really was working well. Again, I think a lot of it was just being able to create that trust and credibility with through a third party. Yeah.
And you can do that on social media too. If you don't already like and follow all of your suppliers and the local media and those what's happening get on those groups and share their stuff, comment on their stuff, like their stuff, mention how here's, this is a great post from Hallmark and we carry their cards and check this out. So there's lots of ways to do that. And I really, the other thing as I'm listening to you guys talk is earned media is not uncreative or untime consuming. That's really, it's not accidental. Yeah, okay. It might be, you might have an accidental thing here or there, but it's part of that integrated plan. And if you get lucky with a comment that, people enjoy or share, that's great. But it's not just serendipitous. It is planned, and you have to really be creative and think about what time you have to spend on these endeavors, or if there's a better person in your company, in your business, who's better for that. If you hate social media, then don't do earned social media. Focus on the other stuff, like Erica was talking about with the call-in radio show or that kind of thing.
There's definitely a medium for everybody. And I think the only reason that we're all working together is I think I just was like, hey guys, we should do a show. And, you gotta ask, and it's really helpful. And there's a lot of examples in this article. I'll throw the link back on the screen here if you want to go look at it yourself. But, media coverage, unpaid search engine traffic, inclusion in a trade publication, word of mouth recommendations. I thought these were all like really good, solid examples of all the different ways that earned media can sort of play out in your, I guess, business. And then, getting earned media, right? Identifying that target audience. So like in the case of Erica with her radio show, she has a coverage area. that she
Mhm.
services. So it makes sense for her to be on a radio show that is in that market. She's not doing a
Yeah.
radio show in like Iowa, right? She's doing a radio show here in
That's
upstate New
local,
York. Yeah,
which is a huge piece of one of our big differentiators is that we are local, as
yeah,
consultants. So, and it's also what you were saying earlier, as far as identifying your target audience, as far as really understanding what your audience is consuming, right? Where are they going for their information? All of those things are super important. Yeah.
right. And a lot of these, if it's a more traditional publication or news or whatever media source, a lot of them track their demographic stuff pretty well. So you could ask them. But another thing you can do is you can just ask your customers, like, what are the things that you know, and we did a whole show about getting feedback, so you could get some ideas there about exactly how to do that. But you could ask people, but like I said, a lot of these groups keep track of like where people are and how old they might be and stuff like that. So it can give you a really good idea of whether that's a good place for you.
Yeah, and I think too, like with regard to target audience, is that I don't think this radio show had a huge listener readership, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it was growing, but it wasn't like I went after something with a million listeners, every Saturday. But because it was so targeted with regard to small business, it worked, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. People who were interested in that were listening to that program.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And if you're, a confident speaker, but you don't feel like, getting your live stream on, like, I mean, radio is great. Podcasts are great. Articles are great. There's lots of different mediums that you can sort of communicate with. It's not just video all the time here.
And I think too, like one of the best ways to get into it, is a podcast or something like that, because it's usually a Q&A format, and that's a lot less intimidating, than having to just present with a slideshow or without a slideshow. It's like a really great way to kind of get your feet wet and being out there and speaking, whether it's, video or radio or whatever you're doing, podcasting. Yeah.
Right. And, and it doesn't have to be live, because I think a lot of people, when they're just starting off, I mean, I edited myself on video for about 7 years before I ever went live. So like I got used to, I know there's certain verbal tics that I have or something like that, but I'm aware of them. Just so in case anybody's watching, I'm aware of what they are. And I could join Toastmasters or whatever and be a lot better. And at some point I might do that, but yeah, but you just get used to, you get used to yourself and it's fine. I am fine with it. And clearly enough people are fine with it that some of them are watching right now.
But again, like, the podcast and the radio shows, it's not just Q&A, it's conversational, right? So it just feels a lot easier. Yeah.
And another thing too, just as like, and we talked about this very, in the press release broadcast last week, is that being on these other websites, you're getting a link back to your website, which is really nice for kind of search engine stuff. Because the way that I know Google, for example, helps figure out, if I have one website that has, 2 links coming back into it, and I have a second website, which is almost identical, that has 500, Google is going to assume the website with 500 links coming back into it is better than the one with 2 links coming into it. So, I mean, and when I say it like that, people are like, yeah, that makes sense. So you diversifying where your business website is linked from is not only a good sort of getting in front of new audience strategy, but it's also good for your search engine stuff, which I think is a good point to bring up.
And I think you brought up last week to me, Nicole, just the idea that, SEO is not, search engine optimization is not the same as it was before, where you're got your meta tags and your keywords and you're trying to play the game, right? It's so much more about quality content and these kinds of things where it's pointing back to your website because you provided, resource and information to people. Yeah.
Yeah. And there is so many factors. And we might, by the way, if you're watching this and want us to do a series, we're thinking about doing a March potential series, or maybe in April. We haven't talked to Liz about this yet. We just talked about this last week about SEO or search engine optimization. Please leave a comment if that's of interest to you, or tell the SBDC that that's of interest. And, I definitely have opinions and good resources about that. But back to earned media, like, there's a lot of benefits to it. I mean, we all like free stuff, right? And, free marketing is lovely. but also this idea of credibility. Like obviously Erica is not some fly by night operation if she has a local regular radio program, right? Like we trust her because because these people that we trust also trust her. This radio station in Syracuse, like they're credible. I trust them, and by extension now I trust Erica because she's on there. And then the getting in front of new people is like, in the case of paid, you can get in front of new people. And in the case of owned media, right, you're kind of just talking to the people who already follow you. But this is a way to get in front of a new audience that is, really great. And it's funny because the little dietitian example that I used at the beginning, there was there's a little kind of follow-up, and basically she has done so much press that now she actually turns down. She can't take every opportunity that comes her way. So it could potentially catapult you into this really, great place of growth, because, your people are enjoying the program and they're contacting your business, and then you're getting onto more and more, getting into more and more publications and things like that. So I like that they called it a positive spiral. Usually with spirals, it's usually not positive.
It's not positive. It's true.
Upward, I don't know. Yeah.
No, I liked it. I like the positive spiral as opposed to the negative ones that you might have heard of. But if you want to learn more and kind of dive in a little bit more, check out this Indeed article because it is really good. And I did also want to show an example of a place that I knew of locally that you can do earned media. And so the Cornell Cooperative Extension in St. Lawrence County has a blog, and you can actually contribute to it. They have these requirements. I'm putting it on the screen now, but I'm sure you could also Google it. The link is a little bit longer. Maybe I should have shortened that, come to think of it. But they have, ways that you can contribute, guest blog submissions, here's the focus we want. Now, most people are not this organized, right? They have not thought through like, oh, well, maybe I'd like someone to contribute about this. They don't know it until they hear it sometimes. So if you have an idea, it's, you don't need to wait for somebody to be like, oh, this is exactly the kinds of ideas, but this is really nice and detailed, and it gives you exactly what they need to be able to run your blog post. So
that's really cool.
And you're getting a link off cornell.edu. Like, that's lovely. That looks awesome.
Yep.
Right.
As seen in the Cooperative Extension blog, but there's tons of other examples like this, which actually brings me to my goodness, I'm having a bad mouse day here. So that brings me to my final, my concluding slide, but I'm sure we'll continue to talk a little bit more about this. But, where do I get earned media, right? So we have press releases, right? We did a whole broadcast about that, so we won't talk too much about that, but you can scroll wherever you're watching this now and look at last week's, the last broadcast we did was about press releases. So feel free to check that out if you want to learn more about doing those here in 2022. Yes, they are still a thing. Another resource that people use is a website called HARO, HARO, Help a Reporter Out. And basically what you can do is you go to this website and you can pick sort of topic areas that you have expertise in. So you're going to click Become a Source, and you're going to go through that. And then you're going to get on their email list. And I think they email 2 or 3 times a day. I unsubscribe because it's a lot of email. I get a lot of email, but they will email you and they will say like, a magazine looking for health coaches who, don't think the keto diet is as great as it's cracked up to be. And then they'll give an email address, but it doesn't say the name of the publication. So you could be interviewing for like a regional blog. You could be interviewing for, in one case, and I'll just say this, and this is one of the reasons I unsubscribed. I spent an hour and a half on the phone with this reporter with the Wall Street Journal. And I was like, holy cow, this is going to happen for me. And I got really excited about it. And then the story never ran. So I know, but I didn't know she was the Wall Street Journal when I reached out to her. I reached out to her because it's like, okay, you need a source. Like the thing is like, we don't know who they are. It's not like it says, oh, the New York Times is looking for, it's kind of like when you email someone on Craigslist about their, trampoline for sale, you don't see their real email address. You see like some kind of coded email address. So I will say, like, you don't really have any control whether that story runs or not. And so I did that was the biggest fish I ever almost caught. But there was a couple of other situations where I spent a lot of time on it. And at the time I had one part-time employee and I was like, okay, I can't be spending a lot of time like kind of chasing these things that don't happen. So I sort of de-emphasized it. Now that I have more people helping, I got a little bit more bandwidth and I might start seeking out that sort of thing. But with help a reporter out, you can't guarantee like who it is or what it is. And you do, and the thing is here, if you're a good source and that reporter likes you, when they have another story, even remotely related to, diet or nutrition, they're like, oh, that Nicole was easy to talk to. She got right back to me. She like was really collaborative. They're going to want to work with you again. So
Yeah.
if you're
No,
kind of, marathon and not sprint. Okay. But it is a site. You can make a free account as a source and you can, sign up. And like I said, they give pretty broad categories. I don't know if there's like 10 or 15. It's like health, fitness, and lifestyle, technology, and whatever. So I had subscribed to a few of them because my categories didn't neatly fit into like one section. But yeah, so they email a few times a day, and you can, follow up or not follow up. And if it drives you crazy, all the emails, you can just make a filter and make a little folder and just put them all in there. And when you're in a mood, you can go through them.
Yeah.
And then
That's a really cool resource, Nicole.
yeah, it is great. Like I said, when I spent an hour and a half and I hung up the phone, I was like, oh, I can't describe to you the feeling of me thinking I was going to get national press coverage for my little co-working space. I was like so excited because they were doing a whole feature about rural co-working spaces, and that's me. So,
but like you said, you never know. You never know.
I know, and I like to think I'm very personable and whatever, and I got right back to her with everything. But you never know. So it's a risk you take, but it's also not. It's something that costs you time, but not money to do. So just that's a good thing to kind of know about. The other thing is like seeking local opportunities. So like I said, local cooperative extension has a blog. Local and regional chamber has a blog. There are lots of places that are looking for interesting information. Like I said, they don't want a press release about how amazing you are, or they don't want to be like, these are 10 reasons why I have an amazing business. They want like some useful information. So they want me to talk about, Instagram reels versus stories and when to use each one, or they want to talk about, I don't know. I think my last guest post was how to get your small business ready for the holidays or something that ran in
all the things we want you to talk about.
Well, no, it was with a regional economic development organization. So I guess what I'm saying is kind of think, yes, there is like, you could be in the Wall Street Journal, maybe you'll have better luck than me, but you can also just look for a sort of local or regional opportunity, because there are some that once you start looking, I mean, I was surprised that the Cornell Cooperative Extension had a blog I could contribute to. I thought that was pretty great. I'm going to write for them. I bookmarked that. and
not just Cornell in the area or entities like the extension and the area, think a little bit, let that be your catalyst to thinking about what might work for your business, and do some research online and figure out what's out there that way too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it could be like, maybe you get a group of people together and you're like, okay, I'm going to look up, these kind of, and you can sort of like share your knowledge together. You and a couple of your local business owner friends can, and there's no reason why you couldn't be pitching multiple things. All right, we've got a couple. Hey, I'm going to check out HARO. Yep, it's good. Like I said, it's a lot of info. I get a little overwhelmed with info sometimes. Oh, and we do have a small like unrelated plug I'm going to put here so I don't forget. Apparently, Renee cannot take time off because they have an upcoming virtual conference. So check that out if you are looking to attend their upcoming virtual conference. I'll just leave that on the screen for a second. Did not want to forget to help plug that because, hey, it's all right. So, all right, Renee.
Because
hopefully that gets
company, right? They're part of the family.
Yeah. But, yeah. Hopefully that gets a few registrations. That's awesome.
I know, right? Exactly. Yeah. And the one other thing about this is that if you're doing something interesting, whether it's charity related, I'm not talking about I'm running in the 5K fun run. Nobody cares. Okay, I hate to be blunt, but nobody cares. But if you and the businesses on your block or in your town are, adopting families at the holidays, or if you're sponsoring and you all get together, there's power in those numbers. Nicole, you made the point a few minutes ago that get together with other businesses, and it doesn't mean just to write a blog, or it doesn't mean just, it can mean a lot of things. And your local chamber can put stuff in their newsletter. And this is where I make my pitch for joining the chamber, wherever you are. Focus on the value, not the cost, and see what they do, what the different chambers around you do, or other business. There's one called Watertown First. There's one called Advantage Watertown. Every town has them. Figure out what they do and who their target is and how it melds with what you're doing in your business. And then ask to be part of their stuff. Ask to have your stuff included in their newsletter. And the other point I want to make real quick is that when we talk about blogs and newsletters, the definitions aren't so clear anymore. A newsletter used to be something that you sent in the mail. In fact, we still have a couple reams of fancy paper in my office because we used to send our newspaper or newsletter in the mail. Now it's online. So, don't get hung up on definition of newsletter or blog. Just think of it as communication methods, and they're really kind of, like I said, they don't have the strict lines of demarcation that they used to have. So.
Yeah, and these organizations, they do a lot of organizing and stuff. And if you say, hey, I noticed that a lot of businesses have been making Facebook events, but I know a couple of ways to make them better. How about I write an article about like things you could add to your Facebook event posting that, or whatever, you notice something. Oh, I can only think about marketing things because that's what I do, but it's not all about marketing. Your business has something to contribute. You might know how to lay out a display or a store window. You might know, like I said, that we all have knowledge that is useful to other people. And so, back to my point of spending an hour and a half on the phone and not getting any earned media because like nobody owes me anything, right? Like I'm talking to them for free. They're offering me a free opportunity. It's not like I paid hundreds of dollars and it didn't happen. So if you're a very small company and you're thinking, Nicole, I can't sit around and like do things for free because I'm just not at that point, there is a way for you to write or, and this is called Writer's Market, this book, and I'll show you in a second. But there are paid opportunities to contribute to things. So there's a book called Writer's Market. And I know what you're thinking. Is there an online version? There is not. I looked. And there used to be an online community and you could pay like $10 a month or something. And they're like, nope, you have to buy this $30 book. Now I know if you're like, I don't, every library pretty much has this book. So like, if you're like, I don't want to buy it, like your library has it. So like, don't feel like you need to purchase it, but it's like $30 and it's from, God, is it HarperCollins? Yeah, I think it's HarperCollins who owns it now. Random House. I don't know. One of the major publishing companies owns this. Exactly, a biggie. And inside of it is I have a whole section of consumer magazines and how they accept. So, okay, Sweet Cherry Publishing. And this is in the UK. This is their email. This is their website. They're an independent publishing company specializing in middle grade series. Okay, so this is about books, but they have other stuff. They have like, I found one that was like bottling magazine or something. So if you're a bottler watching this and you want to contribute to Bottling International I forget what it's called, but I should have bookmarked it. But there are tons of not publications, like magazines, trade journals, and things that you can basically do and get paid for. And it will tell you. And then they have this thing where it's like a newly revised, how much should I charge pay rate chart. So they'll help you. Yeah. So basically you can contribute things and get paid to them. And this is one of the resources where you could find those things. There might be other ways too. Obviously you can just search online and go through a lot of stuff, but I think the book kind of takes all that research and puts it in a searchable place. And like I said, most libraries have it. Most universities have it. And there might be other places to find too. I just that's the one that I know about, that every time I look up like how to get paid writing, like that's the thing they always mention. So I did want to throw that out there in case you were also at the point in your business life where you could not spend a lot of time, but you wanted to maybe not only write something that would get published, but also get paid for, that there's an opportunity for you to do that. And like a lot of opportunity. Like this book is thick, and it has thin pages. Like it's not quite like a Bible, but it's pretty close. I mean, I found something on page 603 the other day. So,
A lot going on in there.
Yeah. And it's got an index of subjects and things like that. So anyway.
Well, there's a huge need for content. We are a content hungry,
hugely for good content.
Good content, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And good doesn't have to mean flowery, or it can just be technical. You know, you can, if you're in heating, ventilating, and air conditioning, there's probably 10 regional and national and international journals about that. And if you're passionate about what you do, you can write a good article about it. You really can. And everybody needs an editor. But if you know the content, and not only writing, but also going back to YouTube tutorials, that has exploded in the past 5 years. You can learn how to do all sorts of stuff on a YouTube tutorial, and you can make a YouTube tutorial that talks about how you make your crepes or how you change a brake line. And, you know, one of the things we hear from clients is that, well, I don't want to give away my secrets. Okay, well, the chances of anyone really trying to replicate, you know, how you change a brake line, if they either know how to change a brake line or they're interested in learning. It's not really an now. I'm not talking about fail videos. I know those are very popular for entertainment, but there's a line there. So if you're good at explaining something technical and you don't mind being goofy and fun on camera, think about using that.
And someone in the chat was asking for a link to the books. I just dropped it here, but I will say, even if you're a heating and plumbing person and you submit to Heating and Plumbing Quarterly, and I know you're thinking, my customers don't care that I submitted an article to Heating and Plumbing Quarterly, but that's something for you to mention on social media so you know what you're talking about. And so the people who follow you are like, oh, my plumber is published.
Published.
Amazing. And then the second thing that gets you is a link back to your website. So and over time, you're building these links. Now, I've thought of rebranding my business a few different times for different reasons. But when I looked into it initially, and this was years ago, I had 11,000 links coming into my website. And I thought, what a freaking nightmare if you should change that. So I just keep renewing my domain. But yes, but I have the thing on the screen, Writer's Market. I literally ordered it. I ordered it like, I don't know, last Monday, actually, when I knew we were going to be talking about this, and I got it on Friday. So, and I ordered it from the publisher. So, it was packaged completely inefficiently. And I was like, okay. But yeah, it's funny. It said, unfortunately, due to circumstances out of our control, the website will be unavailable for the foreseeable future. So I'm like, what happened? Where like the website's not available and I have to buy this book, but here we are.
Because they want you to buy the book. It's with too much free information. Speaking of free resources.
No, it wasn't free. You had to join. Like I was going to pay $10 a month to be a subscriber, and I'm like, you would have made way more money off me as a subscriber.
Okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, So I don't know what's up, but sometimes you gotta go analog sometimes.
Yeah. So, Nicole, like really great information here. Holy cow. I'm sure anybody who's watching or will watch is going to get a ton out of this segment. And I do want to reiterate what we were just talking about as far as, somebody might be thinking, why am I going to write an article that's only going to get published, in New York for, a downstate audience, right? But again, it's that idea of like Liz said, you have now been published. And so you've got to go back and market that you have that published article somewhere. It doesn't matter where, right? And you do that everywhere as far as speaking again of integrated marketing, on your social media and on your website and in your newsletter, like, oh, look where we just got, mentioned, or those kinds of things. And that's what really starts to provide the advantages of earned media, right?
Yeah, you're kind of getting a twofer. You're getting in front of a new audience and the links and all that, and then you're getting an opportunity to build more credibility with the people you already talked to. So
Yeah.
like it's really a twofer, and it does take time to build relationships as always. But if this is something you're interested in, it's definitely, I guess, worth thinking about it as part of your business marketing strategy, because
Absolutely.
it's all about that mix.
That's right. And I want to make a quick point about, so the SBDC. This is a shameless plug for us, right? So we sometimes post about our clients. So like, for example, this morning I shared an article about Sneaker Ace, it's owned by Nathan Mosley, one of our clients. He had a place up in Evans Mills outside of Watertown, and now he's moving to the Watertown Mall. It's a huge deal for him. And so I saw the article in NNY 365, which I think is the Watertown Daily Times website, I think. Anyway, I saw it there and I shared it with everybody because, hey, that's our client. We're proud to be associated with him and his growing business. But also, in the past couple months, we've approached a bunch of clients and said, hey, we'd like to profile you. We don't get a lot of response to that. Now, I'm gonna say it's not us, right? I'm not taking it personally. But if your SBDC, your chamber, your SCORE, your Women's Business Center, your alumni organization from your high school or college, if they approach you and say, we want to do a profile on you, say yes.
Say yes.
Don't make, don't say, man, now, if somebody calls you, if you're a retailer, somebody calls you December 23rd, well, you have every right to say, yeah, see you next year.
In January, yeah.
Right. But, really think about how you can leverage something like that, and not about how it's going to help the SBDC or the chamber or your alumni organization, but how you can then take that and use that to your benefit. And if you can't think of ways to do that, give us a call and we can help you brainstorm. But when someone wants to give you free publicity, say yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I think that's an excellent note to end on. Thanks everybody for watching this week's broadcast. So we have to figure out what our next, we might do a month topic. We might just do it, whatever. We're looking for feedback. So if there's anything you want to learn about, leave a comment, email the SBDC, whether you just have ideas for Marketing Monday or you actually want to start a relationship with the Watertown Oswego SBDC, because they can help you figure things out that you didn't even know need to be figured out. So, so thanks so much for watching. Yeah,
and marketing challenges, and what you need help with. Yeah,
sure. Absolutely. And feel free to share this broadcast with anyone you think could benefit. It's on YouTube and it's on Facebook as well. And thanks so much, ladies, as usual. Always great conversation. And we'll see everybody next week. Take care.
Bye, everybody.